Welcome to Foundations with Larisa Hovannisian, an unfiltered podcast where I explore the foundational principles of creators, entrepreneurs, scientists, public figures, and all around awesome people who make things happen. Welcome back to Foundations with Larisa Hovannisian. I'm joined today by Ruben Malayan, an artist, calligrapher, and cultural thinker whose work has reignited global interest in Armenian script and sacred aesthetics. Known for his intricate calligraphy and thought-provoking commentary on identity, Ruben's art is more than visual. It's a statement. His career bridges the personal and the political, the historical and the modern. In this episode, we'll explore the foundations of Ruben's artistic voice and how he uses art as a form of resistance and remembrance. Ruben, thank you so much for being here today. I'm a big fan of yours. I've been following your work for many years. I absolutely think you're one of the most talented people that Armenia has. I guess my first question for you is, Ruben, you often talk about art being an act of resistance. And an act of love. When did you realize that art can carry that sort of element to it?
No, I think the answer is obvious. Art is an expression of a human being's dilemmas and whatever conflicts he has within himself and with the world around. So there are many examples when artists were totally apolitical, like Picasso was one, until Guernica. He refused to get involved in any sort of politics. But once Guernica happened, he painted probably one of the most famous paintings in the world. So I think if you care about what's happening around you, it's not so much self-centered, and it's not so much about you, but it's also about your relationship with the world, and you have something to say and you have the talent to say it, then yeah, you ought to do it. Some people just can't keep silent. They just can't ignore what's happening around them. But artists are problematic people, so a lot of the time they would rather, be locked inside of their own world and not so much react to what's happening around them. But I'm not like that. So for me, it's important. I think an artist has a function. Is a mirror. Art is a mirror put to the society, right? If you want to understand the society, look at the art it's producing. It's just always been the rule. And you put that mirror and you say, well, now look at yourself through me. It was for me a discovery. It started in 2018 when I couldn't. It was important for me to make art at that time, and I discovered so much about my own intuition I had no idea about.
You said 2018, but I mean, you've been doing this work for many decades now.
Yeah.
What was in 2018 that triggered this?
I think it's because of the energy that was out there. I mean, that energy, I could somehow be able to channel it through me. The energy was immense. I mean, I can never forget. I have a lot to say about that, and I have my own burden to carry and a burden of responsibility for some of it also. But the energy was unbelievable. And it was the energy of everybody.
Yeah.
And it somehow just clicked and it exploded. I started making things I've never done before.
For example?
I was taking big pieces of PVC board and I would just make abstractions. And I'm not an abstract artist. I mean, I was trained as a figurative artist, right? So abstraction was always some off limits for me. I could never understand it. Yeah, I love Kandinsky, but I mean, what? I cannot possibly. You cannot understand abstraction. You can only feel it, and on some, some. It's like a current running beneath everything else. But then I just let go of control, and I discovered that once you do that, then all of a sudden, it's like this channel of energy surfaces, and you can do things, unimaginable things.
Mm-hmm.
Things you cannot do when you try to control the process. Once you let go of that control, you say, okay, just come out. Whatever it is, come out. And I look at it now and I say, Mama. Yeah. It was like, it sort of fixed the emotional condition that I was then in, and everybody else, I think, because I was part of the socium that was going through this transformation, and now it's, for me, it's a permanent record of a transformation, basically. But before, I always loved poster art, and I think poster is something that can express a concept and an idea in a very condensed way, an intense way. There are many talented designers, but not very good poster designers, right? So one thing you can design, but poster demands conceptual thinking, and you have to be a different sort of place to be able to do it well. I was always fascinated by that since I was a kid. My dad would go to Poland to all sorts of like watercolor biennales and stuff like that, because he was a painter, a rare painter that was working in aquarelle, in watercolor technique. Armenians, they love oil and stuff. My dad loved paper. And he would bring with him Polish posters, and Polish poster school is one of the best in the world. It's fascinating, actually, how it actually happened specifically in Poland, right? Because they refused to adopt ready-made designs for their film and theater. They would say, make your own. Like if there was a Hollywood movie screened in Poland, they would design a poster for it by themselves, not take a ready one and just put Polish text on it. And it brought them to the point when they formed a school that is incredible, because it produced incredible amount of conceptual design, poster design. And I've seen it since I was a little kid, because my dad would bring those posters and I would say, like, my God, what is that? I want to be able to do this too.
So your love for all of this came from your dad?
Yeah. Everything goes back to childhood, basically, no matter what you do.
Did
you can always trace it.
Absolutely, I agree. Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I grew up in Yerevan. I went to school here. I studied art here.
Mm-hmm.
But then, my formative years were here. But then I was 21 and I found myself on a beach in Tel Aviv, and I was like, whoa.
This is nice.
This is nice, yeah.
But you also have background. You're a mixed kid, right? Your mom is not Armenian, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think I benefited greatly from it, and also the fact that my mom was she loved poetry and literature. My dad obviously was an artist, and he loved architecture, history, architecture, and all
so
that.
You grew up
I was
in
like,
this
whoa, yeah. Our house was
artsy house,
loaded with literature through my mom's side, and everything else from my dad's side. So I could benefit from the
Where
both.
were you then? Well, ultimately, I mean, you said you went to the art university here, but where did you actually find yourself as an artist? Like, was it through a special program at a university, or was it through experience?
No, it was interesting because I was growing up, right, reading mostly history, mythology, and all that. I had no idea I really want to actually produce art myself. So one day, my dad, a friend of my father, was a head of this art school here in Terlemezyan, which basically was right here. Right?
Yeah,
like
walking
50
distance.
meters from
Yeah.
here, the old one. Unfortunately, they demolished this building and they moved it to somewhere else. And he came to our house. His studio was just above our apartment. And he came and he said, like, I was talking to my dad, and he said, like, what is Ruben going to do? And it's like, my dad, like, asked him. So they called me and asked me, well, what are your plans? And I said, I want to go study history. I said, forget it. I'm going to study art. I said, but I don't know how to draw. I said, I'm not worried about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So my dad would just set up something, and he would put a paper in front of me and tell me, draw it. And I would just go. And then come back and, okay, this is how it should be done. 6 months later, I was accepted in art college and studied. I guess that's
how it
began.
happened.
Yeah.
I can kind of understand like that the environment that you grew up in, because my uncle, who also was born here, studied here, and then went to Moscow to pursue, to continue his studies. And I think that's where he really formed as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And in his house, he had this room that had a studio, and he had this like big table that had like a circular wheel to print.
Yeah.
And I would just spend hours watching him do this because it was fascinating, and it was an entire process. It was methodical. It was almost scientific.
Yeah.
And he was an artist across various mediums, but his passion was printing, posters, book designs, and to think that, to where we are now, I'm just, it was such a it's an actual labor of love. I mean, he would get exhausted because it was physically challenging also. So I think I understand the kind of environment you grew up in, and I think it was truly fascinating. I mean, it developed a love within me. I actually pursued graphic design in university.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As a minor, so I didn't allow myself to fully go down that artistic route, but I definitely have that within me, and I think a lot of it came from him and seeing him. And when I look back I have this box where I kept all of my book designs and my brochure designs and my poster designs, and a lot of it was Kandinsky inspired.
I cannot forget one. I remember I was a kid, and I asked my dad to draw a horse, and he took a piece of paper and a pencil, and he drew a horse in like seconds, jumping horse. And I remember this moment that it was like magic. I saw it on a pieces of paper.
It was
jumping,
all of a sudden there.
It was real. It was realistic. It was like I couldn't take my eyes off it, and it happened in seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, this is magic. Like, how is a man able to make something out of nothing? It's all in here, right? It's the skill of this visual memory. Artists usually train themselves, to remember visually. Everything works in a visual way, right? He had a phenomenal visual memory. He would see something, it was enough for him to just draw few lines in his sketchbook, and then he would go to his studio and everything would come back to him. It was just enough to look at it. And he would sit and he would paint that scene, which is no longer there, but
from memory.
It is right here. So you need the right triggers at the right time, and then if you have the talent for it, so maybe something can work.
Your primary mode now, though, is calligraphy, right?
Yeah, mostly. I spend a lot of time now educating. I run a series of lectures now in Wood Center, and my God, like I see what is it doing to this young. They are not teenagers anymore, university level. But my God. I see through feedback that they crave that, really, really crave that. They crave the knowledge, they crave the experience, they want direction, they want somebody to answer the burning questions they have, and once they find somebody like that, they just don't want to let you go.
Even now with like AI and all these things that are taking
place.
place.
It's an interesting thing with the artificial intelligence, and I was just telling them that a year ago I could always tell the difference. I cannot anymore. Now you can fake anything. You can really produce an image that is totally convincing. I don't know where it's going, but I know there will be a resistance. That much I know. We will resist that because there is something fundamental is missing in that. It's not creative. It just imitates. Art is not imitation. Art is a creation, is an act of God. Actually, humans always looked at it like that. It's like God had the prerogative to create something out of nothing. And once we learned how to do it, I mean, it's unique. It's you can never repeat it in the same way. So there is no imitation in it. But AI is all imitation. Until, of course, it becomes self-aware, and then we run.
And then what do we do?
If we can. If there is place to run to, yeah. But that's going to be the singularity and all that. And well, maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe it will happen sometime in the future. Maybe in the near future or far future. I don't know. But the way it's going now, I think it's the biggest problem with it is the dehumanization of the process. It's the most disturbing aspect of it. You know, there is no human factor in it anymore. So we are people. We are humans. We're unpredictable. We are, we have all the time this mashup of emotions and friction and the emotional roller coaster that we go through. All of that is actually some of it. When you sum it up, it produces something that is unique. Take all that out, what's left? A formula, an algorithm? I'm not interested in it. It's predictable. So that's it. There is no element of surprise in it anymore. You know what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, what it's going to say. You've seen one, you've seen it all.
What are your students telling you? What kind of questions are they asking you?
Yeah, they're curious. They ask about AI, and they ask, should we use it? I, for example, I don't. And I'm not interested. I was tempted once. I said, can it write? A calligraphy, can it produce calligraphy? It cannot. Totally cannot.
Why?
Because again, it only tries to imitate. It can produce an image, but when it comes to text, it's a full stop.
Interesting.
Doesn't know how to, because it cannot read it. There is two aspects to it, right? There is the content, the actual message, and there is the visual manifestation of that. Once it cannot, the message itself is, it can, if you show it something written by me, it will not be able to read it and understand it, to reproduce it, to imitate it, right? So calligraphy is, right now, AI fails, and thank
Thank God.
that it fails. There's enough humans that try to imitate me. Unsuccessfully.
I've seen attempts.
On the walls, yeah. But I know why it's a failure, because it is an imitation.
It's the greatest form of flattery, though.
No, I don't care about that. The problem is that it's an imitation. It's not genuine. They are not trying to come up with their own. They just try to imitate me. So why do you need? There is already one Ruben. So why do you need another one? I mean, you don't. So. But it's a stage that if they've got enough talent and commitment, they will grow out of it and find their own way. I hope for that. Yeah. At least I know I inspire them to try.
Have you had instances where you assign something to them and then they come back and you have doubts that it's theirs versus something the AI put together?
In university, and I teach in AUA, I stopped giving them written assignments. It's futile. It's useless. They will take the shortcut, and I'm not interested in that. So I cut off all the written assignments, and now they only have to produce visual material as an assignment that they cannot fake. So it's sort of that's where the line goes. Like, you can fake words, but you cannot fake an image. Oh, it's obvious. Once you see it, you say, okay, you didn't draw that. I know you didn't draw that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess it's a frontier. We're going to have to, a threshold we're going to have to
Would you
cross.
tell a young child now who's interested in maybe pursuing art as a career, you know, as a direction in life, would you tell them to do it or no?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It's not for everybody. You have to have a talent for art.
Yeah.
I remember when I was studying, I had friends that came from villages. No aesthetic background whatsoever. Nada. Zero. A raw diamond. Incredible talent. But it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You need the framework.
Mm-hmm.
Very few make it. This raw diamond needs to be polished, needs to be cut, needs to be
forever. It doesn't stop, right?
It doesn't stop.
I think like the reason why I've enjoyed observing your career so much is because I don't feel like you're ever kind of in the same place. You're evolving. You're going through something. You know, you referenced the 2018 revolution. Something happened. You shifted. You evolved. You're in this dialogue with yourself, which I feel like a lot of people are not. Even those who are creative and are, you know, typically you would expect that they do have. They do have to have that process in order to be able to create. But what scares me is that I think there's almost like a loss of artistry within artists, and then paired with this evolution of AI. I think it's a two-way street, and I think it's not just AI. It's not, you know, it's both things working in tandem to potentially, you know, I mean, cause actual disruption if I put it nicely, or destruction. If I put it in a very negative way of an entire
Look, I think it's
area of humanity, really.
I think stillness, not from a philosophical aspect, of course. Stillness is an interesting phenomena, but once you refuse to leave your comfort zone, you're dead. As an artist, you're dead. I mean, you're doomed to repeat yourself. If you're not afraid to try to go into unknown, and art is all about that. It's all the time pushing the limit. Can I do this? Do I want to? Or you always fall back to the place, you know, that is comfortable and easy. It's that's stagnation. That's something that will always lead to regress. So artist needs to be aware of the fact that once you become, there's always this dilemma. I'm recognized by this style. That's my style. Once, you know, it becomes your style, then you do something else and people don't recognize. But it's not true. Like in my case, it's not true. I think that it's interesting that maybe because my road was a long one, and I had no teacher, I had nobody to show that stuff to me. I had to figure all that by myself. It was a long road, but then the price that I paid for that, eventually it brought me to the point when the line that I draw, is recognizable. They know it's me. Like it's difficult to explain, but it's the same with drawing, by the way. Like the drawings I make and I draw, obviously I was trained as an artist, right? You do it long enough, and you show enough commitment, and you try to not to go the easy way, by the easy road. You come up with your own unique formula that manifests itself in every line you draw, and it becomes recognizable. Sometimes it's strange. I once drew a portrait of Komitas, and I swear I said, like, as if my dad has drawn this. I recognized his line in the portrait that I made, and it was like it was so good, because my dad was an amazing draftsman. He loved pencil. He could draw portraits like Fashion would draw and Fashion is considered god of portraiture. My dad was that good. And then I do this Komitas, and I was like, Mom, wow, it's like my dad drew this. Then I knew that, it's a genetic thing
of course,
that I inherited from him. And it somehow manifested in that one drawing that I made.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, make art. Yeah, do not, it's a hard road, full of struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But no struggle, no victory. They say, yeah.
And kind of going back a little bit in our conversation, when you talked about, we all know Armenia has been through a tough time. I don't know when we haven't been through a tough time.
It's always been like that.
It's always been tough, but these last 5 or so years have been particularly difficult. Do you feel like your artistic vision has shifted because of the psychological and emotional state that you, and I think all of us in some way, find ourselves in? The reason why I keep kind of going back to this question is because I feel like a lot of people, especially younger people, they see art as like a mode of truth and a real way of expressing how they feel.
I think I changed.
Yeah.
I changed myself, therefore my artistic vision has also changed.
Mm-hmm. What is the change?
I think I matured. It's kind of strange that a 54-year-old man says that, but I think I now came a phase of acceptance, which I never had before.
Is that a dangerous place for you to be in?
No, it's a happy place.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's cool.
I finally understood it's always been like that. And I accept it, I don't struggle against it anymore. And once you do that, you find a peace of mind you didn't have before. Because you always we like telling ourselves that, there was, it's been different before. No, guys, it's always been like that. The same dilemmas, the same failures, the same victories and all that. It's just, we are going through a transformative period. We got beaten up really badly. But it's not the end of us. And we'll just keep pushing and try again and again and again. Until we mature as a nation, which needs to happen.
Do you think we will?
We will. I have no doubt.
Really?
Yes. We will mature.
Why are you so sure of that?
I see it in a way that, this is a good example. I've been teaching for 8 years. So if I look at the students I had 8 years ago, actually it's funny because my first class at AUA was exactly in 2018.
So that was a very pivotal year for you in many ways.
It was a pivotal year, yeah. So, class of 25 students.
Mm-hmm.
Now guess how many of them, out of 25, are, Yeah, you don't have to worry about these kids. Everything's going to be fine with them. 3.
Of your first class.
How many are 50-50? That might work, might not. And how many are, forget it, it's a failure. So out of 25 students 8 years ago, 3 were, don't worry about us, we're fine. About 10 were 50-50, and another 12 were, forget it, they're lost. Now, the 3 remain the same, but the 50-50 grew. It's no longer 10, 15, 16. And those that are failure got less. The number is smaller. That means the paradigm is changing.
Mm-hmm.
In 8 years, the chances, amount of students that are 50-50 grew.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of failure got less. And those 3 remained the same. Now, I think those 3 were always 3. 50, 60, 100 years ago. But 50-50...
That's where we need to look.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm married to an artist. Who
a good one.
A good one. I know I'm biased, but a truly great artist. And it just, I've always just, it's pained me, actually. I mean, I don't like to talk to him about it too much because I know that he obviously feels it more than anyone else, but it just pains me how we absolutely do not do. It just pains me that I think, have a lot of raw talent, as you said, the diamond in the rough. And we have our institutions, but I just don't think that there's nearly enough investment into the arts and culture in Armenia. I mean, it's what we're known for,
Yeah.
we have great names that we can proudly say are ours across different industries and domains, and specifically in the art sphere, but these are just exceptions. I just wonder when you talk about this 50%, and Armenia, I think an Armenians having like possibly a genetic predisposition to culture and art and all these forms of creativity. It's just been sad to see the missed potential and opportunity from, fine arts to design to film. I mean, the film industry, when I look at much of the content that we're creating, it's just,
it's garbage.
It's really garbage. It is garbage. And I
garbage.
think it's so destructive because as an educator, and, our team works with thousands of kids, 60,000 kids to be precise at this point. And when we talk to them, unfortunately, it's the only thing that they're able to see on their TV. There's really nothing else happening.
I think we need to bomb the TV station, unplug it.
And then when you offer better content, the response is that there's no demand for it.
Yeah.
But then how do you change? Do you just continue?
You need to stop the brainwash first. Yeah. Stop it. Like if I was at the helm, I'd do exactly that. I would just stop the garbage fully. And if you want to show something, show classics. Armenian cinema produced enough classics for us to watch. And just show them 24/7. Show those films.
Until you make new ones.
Until you make new ones, Give it time. In 1 year, you won't recognize your kids.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop with the garbage. But the garbage is what produces money and rating. So that's the problem. There is no state control.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complete. They let it go and they show whatever they want to show.
I didn't even realize how many classics we have until I actually had a child and I was looking for better Armenian cartoons. And I started asking around, and a lot of it is on YouTube for free, just uploaded by people. And Bingvinashen, for example. What a fantastic cartoon. And my son loved it. He preferred it over
Of course.
much of the other stuff that
An
was on
Armenian
TV.
film produced a lot of cinema in the Soviet time, and most of it was good. Some of it was very good, and we have content. So let's just stop brainwashing ourselves and show that and replace the stupefying content with something that actually gives you stuff, at least emotionally, makes you curious and happy, until we are able to fix the problem, the core of the problem, which is the education, just like it has always been. Is the education, is the institutional approach to the problem. The failure of every sphere can be tracked to the failure of the education that produced those people. You're afraid to go to a doctor because if you think about what kind of training he got in a medical school, you say, my God, I don't want to go to a doctor. It's big, it's a 50-50 chance. So, and the same in every sphere. But what's interesting is that nobody wants to study philosophy. But philosophy is so essential to everything. Like you need those people that were able to define the vector of your who are you? What is it you want from life? What do you have to give to the world? That's a very important question. What is it you have to give? Are you able to give something, or you only take? So we have given a lot, like more than you would expect from a small and tormented nation like Armenians, with all the difficult history and everything. I remember I lived in Amsterdam 25 years ago, and I remember how proud I was when I walked on a central street in Amsterdam and I saw a carpet store with an Armenian name on it. And I was like, what? I knew that we traded carpets in Northern Europe. Most of the Holbein paintings have Armenian carpets in them. But to see a 3-floor carpet store in the heart of Amsterdam with an Armenian surname pasted on a sign, I was like, wow. I walked inside, and the guy who was working there was Dutch, was not Armenian. The owner wasn't there. So, and I asked him, do you have Armenian carpets? And he's like, of course.
All of it.
Can I see some? Like, they're very expensive. I said, yeah, but
I get an Armenian discount.
Just show me. It's interesting. You said before that we're creative and we create stuff, but we also are good at trade, right? RF tour. So how did Armenians trade? Brought carpets from Persia to Europe and traded really well. And not just that, spices from the Orient, and we know all those
the
stories.
Silk Road.
Yeah, we were there from the get-go, from the beginning. But then if you only do that, then you're not really producing anything, right?
Yeah,
you're only trading it.
Right.
But next to that, you have a small, very thin layer of people that are extremely talented, that were lucky because they ended up in Europe, in European institutions, and sort of like these diamonds were polished in a place where you had history of art and design or whatever, and they became big names. They gave a lot. I think we need to find a balance between the two. We need to stop being obsessed with money. I think that's one of the fundamental problems we have right now. It's all about wealth, the physical wealth that people crave. And it takes all their energy. then you think about it and you say, yeah, you can't take it to your grave, so you have enough. I mean, start shifting your focus toward things that are beneficial to others and not just to yourself. So we're right now stuck in this paradigm of, me, myself, and I. Need to stop thinking like that, to understand that without understanding the distinction between me and us is only in a formative state right now.
If you could stake, or if you could make a bet on, the next 10 to 20 years, what should Armenia focus on in terms of development of culture and therefore art also?
Institutional development. I always compare that to a tree. That's a very good metaphor. Culture is a tree. It has a root system, which needs to be healthy. It has the crown, which is the fruit. It never will give good fruit unless the roots are fed. It needs water, it needs sun, it needs somebody skillful enough to trim the tree, to cut off the dead branches. It's difficult, especially with culture. I think we are now in a dangerous place because this tree appears to be dead, and we don't know what to do with it. Culture became a burden for this nation. It doesn't know what to do with it. You cannot cut it down because it was going to fall on you and bury you underneath. But it won't let anything else grow because there is no sunlight, enough sunlight penetrating. So instead of us trying to reevaluate and understand the significance of that tree and try to, Japanese, if the tree is disturbing them, they just relocate it somewhere else, right? They don't cut it down. They go through the trouble to dig it up and put it somewhere else. Now the tree is in a bad, I bought a house now, right? So I went to live in Oshakan, which is the best decision I could possibly make. And the garden was in a bad shape because there was no water flowing. And the first thing I did, literally, when I paid for that house and I went and I had the keys, I took the shovel and I started digging the trench for the water, for the trees. A week later, these trees that appeared to be dead all came back to life. Water is life. All we need is that water, and we need to take care of it. Now, what to do if you have a system that is set to oppose the progress, the reform? It sabotages it, doesn't want to change, doesn't want to leave the comfort zone. This branch is dead. It's only making it worse. Cut it down. Cut it. Bury it, because it's dead, and what's dead needs to be buried. Take your time to think what to do next. But as long as it remains there hanging above your head, and nothing new's gonna grow.
Do you think part of it is maybe our Soviet legacy, that we kind of don't, we're in a vacuum?
In terms of mentality, probably.
We almost need someone to tell us which direction to go in?
Yeah, that's true. There is truth to that. But I look at the time of Soviet Armenia, and I know everything valuable that we have produced came from that time.
But, okay, so that's interesting to me. Why? Is it because why do we create better or function better under these empires rather than when we're on our own?
I have a theory.
Okay, give me your theory, because I genuinely do not understand. I mean, and it's fascinating because, yes, Soviet Union was in Armenia, so it feels like it happened in Armenia, but it was also part of a long-standing colonial project. And we did well. We did well in the Ottoman Empire. We did, before everything happened, obviously, but we were and I think part of why some of these things happened to us in these empires were because we were so good at some of these things,
I think my theory is that once we are a minority, everything works just great. Once we become a majority on a piece of land, we somehow fail to build something that would sustain itself. We're too self-centered. Why did it work in a Soviet time? Because we had a timeout after the war. The first, of course, the genocide in 15, and we inherited a cultural desert. You remember, I told you that once. We were in ruin. And then the Soviet phase started. We had no choice. We had to submit. And then the Second World War happened, and Armenians fought in that war. And we defeated fascism
and lost
a
lot of lives comparatively
enormous amount
to other countries. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then 30 years was peace and quiet. Nobody was bothering us. We were under this umbrella of Moscow and the Soviet and all that. We're all brothers now, no problem between you. So just in those 30 years, we produced incredible amount of cultural artifacts. In those 30 years, architecture, monumental sculpture, painting, all of that came from that time. That's my dad's generation.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in 27. He was one of the first students that finished the institute that was established right after the Second World War. We were building opera house when the nation was hungry and there was nothing to eat, but we were building opera house. Why? It was important to us. We said, it's not only about your stomach, People had the intellectual capacity to understand the value of culture. The mayor of Yerevan was friends with big artists, musicians. He would sit with them, talk to them. They were friends. I don't know how real that friendship was. That's beside the point. But he listened all the time. They were telling him, I think it should be done this way. These people were like so Sargsyan, respected, great actors, musicians, and we had elite. And I don't like the word bohema because it has this some sort of like problematic ring to it. But we had elite, a cultural elite that was one of the best in the Soviet Union. Maybe in the world too, I don't know.
The hunger probably also, my mother grew up here during the Soviet Union, and I think there was just a hunger because so much of it was forbidden. The things that she read at the age that she read it, it was all under the table and very hush-hush.
Yeah, my mom was doing the same. Bulgakov, for example, they read only because, it was printed underneath the
exactly,
table.
And it was like a forbidden fruit. And,
but look, it tells you something. Leave us alone. Don't kill us. Don't torment us. Let us be. And we can.
That's why I think we're continuing with this, hybrid warfare with Azerbaijan, because I think they know that the moment we have a little bit of peace,
we'll be strong much quicker than
we can go really. But as long as you keep us in this state of, is this going to, are we going to go into another war? Is my child going to? Is there going to be a violation of the ceasefire? Is my child who's in the army going to?
There's
not come
always
back
something
home.
hanging above your head, like a sword of Damocles. It's gonna fall one day, and we always lived in that paradigm, and that's a very problematic thing for us.
And it's happening, Ruben, really across the board. I'm in the education space, and I'm part of different international organizations, and we've lost. We are in a losing position. There is no doubt about that. Yeah. Right? But still, there's so much continued pressure on even local educational organizations like ours here. And you would think, why? Like you are so much stronger. You have so many more resources. You are the victor. why are you continuing to do this to us? Just like, let it be. Like, you've won, you know? But and I think it's because there's a deep understanding of exactly this thing that you're saying.
Yeah. We will. I think what we can do is we need to be smarter. Not like a 10-year-old child that always shows his intentions and it's obvious what he's going to do next.
More pragmatic.
We need to be pragmatic. We need to be also cunning and smart about the way we handle things. Don't, nobody needs to know what you're doing behind your doors. Get strong fast. That strong that they won't dare. And once you cross that threshold, nobody's going to dare. The price they're going to pay for it is going to be too high. The same with Israel, for example, right? If you take Israel, whoa,
yeah,
why
you live
is
there
Israel?
for
It's mighty, yeah. Because they say the price you're going to pay is going to be immense. So think about it. And yeah, obviously it works. You can say a lot about that, but this nation built a system that you cannot break. And it's embedded in the genetic memory already so many generations, after the Holocaust and establishment of the country and everything. It's like it's built in them. They are warriors.
Were they always like that?
No, I think it's only with the establishment of the state that this ideology took root. Before that, there were people like us, always living under, always scared that somebody's going to come for you. Pogroms, and they slaughtered Jews, Greeks, and Armenians all the same. They're always like second sort of people for the Muslims, mostly. Even though I heard, the theory that some say that Armenians did better under the Ottoman rule than in a Russian Empire. Did better. They had a better quality of life under the Ottomans before the genocide, Abdul Hamid and all that nasty stuff, than under the Russian Empire, which is paradoxical because Russian Empire was a Christian state, so obviously religion is not the defining factor here.
Yeah.
They always used us, both the Ottomans and the Russians, all the same now. So what do? You need to be, don't need to invent the wheel. Look at Israel. What is Israel doing? Israel is using every resource it has to make sure it's strong enough to scare the bullies. Say, okay, don't come here. I mean, if you come, you're gonna you're gonna pay a big price. You're not ready to pay this price. So we need to adopt the same policy and also learn from them a lot, because look how they are engaging their diaspora, how many children and they bring every year, the state pays for it, and they bring them we bring at best 10,000. I mean, and even that number, I don't think it's a realistic number.
And it's all mostly, I mean, a lot of it, you're right, there is a state program, but a lot of it was actually first initiated by private philanthropists.
Yeah, absolutely. State played a little role in it. In Israel, it's all a state-funded institution which has only one purpose: bring people home. For them, it's all about people. Doesn't matter the age, by the way, this or that. Yeah, kids or old, it's all the same to them. These are people. So everything is oriented toward that. The system works like that. So they bring you in, they give you all the help you need for the beginning, so you can stand on your feet, and then, go and live your life. If you choose to live, it's your decision. Nobody's going to hold you back. But you will get the help you need. And if you look at the amount of people that come over there and they bring over there, and what we do, you can't even compare it. I mean, it's ridiculous. The numbers we have are ridiculous. We need to engage the diaspora in that sense on much bigger scale, and rectify the mistakes we made 30 years ago when Armenia was born as an independent state. Instead of trying to think about your own chair, we should have opened the gates and say, call everybody, come, let's build a country.
I think the problem that I've, talked a little bit about on this podcast, I genuinely think that we do not have a common understanding of Armenia being our home. And I think, this sounds very primitive.
Yeah, but it's true.
But it's true. And so when I think, and I've read books about how the Jews have done it. And, I know that things are very difficult now between Israel and Palestine. And as an Armenian, I think I've just always been curious, how do nations who have lost all land begin to think in a fundamentally different way about who they are, where they're supposed to be.
It's ideology.
Yeah.
It's ideology.
Which we've been missing.
Yeah, it's that. Look, Jews the same, right? They were spread all over the world, just like us. We're no different. We're very similar in that way. But the ideology that there is a country that will protect you, your home, you are from there. You came from there.
Yeah.
That's your ancestral home. And that is being planted in people. Even a Jew that lives in New York, for him, Israel is maybe it's plan B, okay? He has a plan A, but it's always plan B. It's always a place to go, and he knows that's where he's welcome, where he's protected, where he can defend himself also. So in our case, I'm from Van, I'm from Vaspurakan. Armenia is not my, but you don't have another country. The only country you have that bears this name is our country. Make it your home.
And it's almost like we need to lose it to be able to say that. Yeah.
And I think that's also the mentality, okay, go fix it and we'll come. Oh, come on, man. Come help us fix it.
Yeah.
We need a critical mass of people here, educated, ambitious, educated abroad, because our education system is a failure. So
that's what when I think about the revolution, my big hope was that the first 6 to 12 months, that
flood will happen.
That very fast shift would happen.
No.
There was, as you said, it was like a euphoric moment, not just in Armenia. The whole Armenian world. I remember this so well. It was like unlike anything any one of us have experienced, It
was an earthquake.
It was such a moment through which we could have raised so much money to attract all this incredible talent that our nation has.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity.
I would say, of all the things that have happened afterwards, which have been tragic and catastrophic, that was the first thing that I felt like was a massive mistake.
Yeah, it was a great miss. But the same thing happened 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But at that time, again, and it tells you about your weak aspects of your character as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're thinking only about yourself, your own benefit. You're not able to think about the state and institutions. People just want to sit on that chair. That's why I burned it, with that famous high
Exactly.
Yeah, I burned that chair because the chair became a symbol of egocentrism and me. I'm so sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick of it. And when I talk to my students all the time, I'm telling them, take the ego out. Stop thinking in that way. Think about us, not me, not I. Once that happens, and by the way, the best indication of that, Larisa, is right outside. Once you see that traffic changes, that once you see that nobody's blocking the intersection, because he knows he's not going to pass, but he still goes into the intersection, blocks the road, that's the moment you will know the change is happening, the change is real. Until now, it's all the same, right? I mean, the traffic jams are all because of that. Because of that few people that say, no, I will pass. He knows he won't. It makes no sense whatsoever, but he still goes. And once you see the change on that level, that's for you the best indicator that something is shifting inside of people's minds.
So going back to art and the work, the immense body of work that you've created and the legacy that you've built, you know, especially when you think about your students, you know, what do you see for them being in Armenia, building in Armenia, creating in Armenia? What's your what's your message to them?
I think they need to go study abroad. We can't give them what they look for.
Mm-hmm.
If I could copy paste myself into make 20 of me, probably I could make a difference. But you know, they need to go outside and study in good schools, and bring that knowledge back. And then we'll see the change. And that's logical, because my dad, take my dad, he went to study in Rabin Academy in St. Petersburg at that time. It was the best art school. And he went there and he studied there, and he came back and he brought with him the knowledge that he acquired there. And Armenia's always done that. I mean, we've always done that through the history. Those that cannot afford it, cannot live for some reason and study abroad, they have to work 10 times harder to acquire that knowledge here. But luckily, the world has changed, and it's not just, you know, now we have access to immense amount of knowledge. Next to a lot of garbage, there is also a lot of good. All you need is a good screening process, you know, how to access the valuable information.
But how do you make sure that they come back? That's the question.
They will. If they love it, if they love their home, they miss their home, they'll come back. Some of them won't, and that's okay. I'm ready to live with that. It took me 20 years to come back.
Mm-hmm. We all have our timeline.
Yeah, it took me 20 years to come back. And I realized that I don't want to live anywhere else. I'm going back home. I could have gone anywhere.
Going back to Israel, I mean, they've had, I know that they have foundations that support people to go abroad, but they have to come back.
Of course.
And they have to serve, they actually have to serve like a public sector that coincides
I'll
with...
pay for your education, but you have to pay it back.
And unfortunately, we've had organizations that were modeled after that, but they just missed the point where you're supposed to come back. At least for a couple of years to serve your nation. You know, a lot of what we do at Teach for Armenia and the way we talk about our teacher program, it's a national service program through teaching. And I think every sector, especially if you're providing, you know, scholarships, tuition, sometimes $500,000 for someone to go study at a top university. I mean,
Larisa, all the hats off. You have done immense amount of work, and the contribution is incredible. Those kids will never forget what you've done for them. And I just hope we can multiply that effort, make it much bigger, on a bigger scale. But that's for the state to do. I mean, there is just enough. You are capable of doing big things, but
there's only so much.
There's only so much you can do. The state needs to step in and take the function upon itself and start making the changes are required, absolutely necessary. And now, right now, it needs to happen right now. There is no time. Do I see the shift? Not yet. I see the shift coming from the bottom, not from the top. I see the change brewing. you know.
But all you need is critical mass.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a point, the Archimedes and all this, you know, that they can rely on, and that they can lift very heavy stuff.
Yeah.
We are in that, I think, in that point we're looking for it, you know.
Right.
We almost feel it, like we feel the ground beneath our feet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm so optimistic now.
Because you live in Oshakan.
Yeah, because I did finally found the harbor I was looking for. I put the anchor. I was a different person a year ago. I wasn't sure. I said
I'm
this
really
ship
happy
is
for you.
sinking.
Yeah.
But I don't see it that way anymore. The prism has changed. You know, I see it now I see it totally different. And the acceptance that came with it, that I understood that, you know, there are some things that are futile to fight against, but it's always been like that. So accept it and find a way around it. Like a fish in the water, you know, like the salmon that swims against the current.
But I think that's the most we can do, Ruben, right? We can only look back and say, I thought this way, I think this way now. And that's totally okay because you've reflected, you've lived through it, you've experienced something.
Yeah.
I think the scariest thing for me is when people get stuck and they're incapable of hearing a different opinion, of seeing a different view. They get triggered, they silo themselves. They only talk to a particular group of people because they literally can't listen to anything that is outside of this scope that they've built for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. It's terrifying on each side of the political spectrum, of the ideological spectrum. A lot of what's happening in the US and has been for many years now is the polarization of both sides. And then you're stuck and you're looking at and you're saying, like, there's really shitty
you know,
things happening.
When I came here in 2010, I said that everyone here thinks, some of the people here think that they're better than you, and another part thinks that they're inferior to you. What about those that are equal to you? You know, you always feel like there is somebody, or they look down on you, or
what about your peers?
What about those normal people, the adequate people? It's true what you say, and I think that we need to somehow find the formula that works. And I come back to the question of ideology, because I think that's what's been missing on a fundamental level, and still is no work is done in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I always give this example of the French, you know, with liberté, égalité, fraternité. You know, why did they define these three words as a priority for them, as a state, as a nation? You know, freedom, the first, liberté, égalité, equality, fraternité, brotherhood. That means, you know, you set the vector of development. That's French Revolution. Robespierre and they spilled rivers of blood to figure this out. That's what was important to them afterwards. They paid a very heavy price as a nation. But then look at what happened afterwards, you know, the formation of the French Republic and, you know, and everything that followed with Bonaparte and all that. If you ask an Armenian on a street, give me 3 words.
Core values.
Core values, yeah. I think he won't be able to.
Unfortunately, you're right, yeah.
We need to work on that. So when I ask my students, what would they choose? That's curious, yeah. Like I asked you that question. What would you have 3. What would you pick? Not necessarily in that order of importance. Mm-hmm. Just give me 3 core things that you think are absolutely necessary for us to see the horizon.
Integrity, innovation, independence.
Mm-hmm. I'd add to it solidarity. That's the brotherhood. That's the fraternité in French, right? Unity.
I like that. It didn't start with an I.
Yeah. Unity.
But
Bring people
yeah.
together. Give them an idea around which they can stand shoulder to shoulder. Nothing's going to break them.
You're right.
Give them that. Give them, they crave it. Formulate it. I'd change everything.
And
the flag,
Yep.
all the state symbols. I'd build a brand new idea for this country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the flag either. It's annoying.
Well, if that moment comes, well, we know who to go to.
You're a first Christian state and you don't have a cross on your flag. I mean, are you what? I mean, what are you thinking? We need a new, of course it cannot be fake. If it's fake and there's nothing beneath it, then don't do it. It's a stupid idea. But once you build this ideology from ground up and it's going to manifest itself into a new image, you need to see yourself in a new way. You need to tell a better story. Not a story of failure, of victimhood, and constant abuse that you suffered at the end of those that are more powerful than you. Tell a better story. And people will be inspired by that story, and they will say, I can, we can, not I can. I can and we can. Once that happens, nobody's going to come knocking on your door. They'll know that, don't mess with us. Don't mess with them. They're dangerous. And so fazeka ktsum, we say in Armenia, right? Like you don't see nothing anymore. Yeah, you go like a bulldozer. We need an idea around which we can group together. And the unity is what's required. Now, the problem is that when you use this vocabulary and you start talking miatsek, unity, it's hollow. People don't believe in it.
Because there's nothing under
There's nothing, yeah. So because it also goes against the genetic memory when, there is no unity really over there. It's just me surviving against all odds. Now, but you work on that. You work on that methodically, systematically. You lay the foundation. You start with the lowest of the lowest, kindergarten, school. Teach children, do everything together. You fail, I fail. You succeed, I succeed. And like that, climb the ladder. You'll see the change.
100%. And I think in our own way, for example, with Teach for Armenia, we've been able to see the effects of defining clear values, clear goals, clear intentions, a vision that we are working towards all together. Despite political differences, despite religious differences, despite where we're from, it works.
It works.
It works.
We need to focus on the youngs.
Yeah.
On the kids. We need to put all the effort into them. Some are as tragic as it is, an old tree cannot change. We need to treat the old people with respect they deserve and care for them. But we have to remind ourselves that the future is with the young, our children, and give them something they can lean on and the feeling of confidence and believe in your own strength and power through mythology, through art, through culture. They go on, they win gold medals in every competition, and you see so much talent, and all you need to do is to turn it into an institution.
To systematize it.
Yeah. And then you'll see that, we are, and even, my Israeli friends, Jewish friends, they always say, if only you could work together. You'll be stronger than us. They are saying that. If only Armenians could work together, there would be no stopping them.
I believe in that future, Ruben, and I think you're right. There's something boiling, and I think we're feeling it. I think we're part of it in some way, consciously, subconsciously. And I think on this note, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And I think it's time we write Armenia's new ideology.
It's mutual, Larisa, and I thank you for you being here and you doing what you're doing, and your family and your beautiful family, which is, it's always been that cradle of love that we need. We need love. We need love. We need empathy. We need to care for each other. We need to love each other despite all the differences and despite all the aggression and all the exhaustion. And we're tired and we're breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. Go out and you're living in one of the most beautiful corners. Always I'll say that and we'll finish. Every time I look at masses, it's it's teleporting me into a different dimension. I look at it and I say, this is the safest place in the world. When the flood is gonna come, and most likely it will come again, we'll find a refuge here. So I want to say to everybody, every Armenian that is listening to this right now, come home. There are people who will love you here. They will not think about dividing us, but uniting us. And my door is always open. And let us build this beautiful country, make it fertile, and you'll be amazed at the fruit it will produce. A fruit of love, a labor of love, the fruit it will produce. It will be the tastiest possible. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. From your mouth to God's ears. Thank you so much, Ruben.